Hi everyone, welcome back to Actual English. My name is Jennifer Clyde. Now we have been talking about interesting topics, some easy ones, some a bit more difficult, but let's talk about honeymoons today. Now if you are married, you probably have gone on your honeymoon. If you are planning to get married, maybe you're thinking about where to go for your honeymoon. Anyhow, that is our topic. Let's begin by listening to a conversation and then find out where these two people actually went on their honeymoons or perhaps what they're planning on. Here we go.
Peter, I'm looking for ideas on where to go for my honeymoon.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering, where did you go?
I've got to say, I think, and I may be being biased, that it was the perfect getaway destination.
Where was
Lots
it?
of R&R, the Maldives.
Ah.
Like, it's quite a typical place for many honeymooners to go.
Yeah.
And there is literally nothing to do but swim in the sea and eat at your resort and that kind of thing, because the islands are very small. There's thousands of them. But it was so relaxing, you know, you just forget about work and all your worries just drift away into the sea.
Right.
And it was a week that I'll never forget.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
So what are you planning for yours? Something like that, or maybe a city tour or something?
Yeah, I like the idea of going to a tropical beach and relaxing and kind of just spending time with my future husband.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also want to travel around Europe for a honeymoon too. Like Paris is both, exactly. I'm being greedy. Like Paris is so romantic. I feel like it'd be a great place, although it may be overdone as a destination for a honeymoon. But I also like to do the touristy things too, so I'm undecided.
Sure, it really depends on your personality. Like, I just wanted to lay down and sunbathe, and not think about anything. But other people, they want to make the most of that time that you have off, you know.
Right.
I think you're right. A compromise of the both. If you can fit them both in, that's the best of both worlds.
Well, where could that be then, where I could
Somewhere where the beach is close. Well, Paris, the south coast of France, has lovely beaches.
Oh, that's true.
Like Cannes and places like that.
And
so
the
you could
wine
maybe
vineyards.
fit that in. Or maybe you could just do a world tour.
But that takes a lot of time.
Take about a year or two off work, and then have a mega honeymoon.
I think that's a great idea. And to be honest, my fiance and I have seriously considered that too.
Like a backpacking trip or something like that.
Right after we leave Korea, because we're both expats.
Uh-huh.
So I'll maybe even think about that. Just postpone the immediate honeymoon and just wait until we're done with Korea and go on this world tour.
Yes, like a rock star.
Like a rock star.
Welcome back everyone. Did you enjoy today's actual talk conversation between Peter and Rachel? Now once again today we're talking about honeymoons. Where did Peter say he went on his honeymoon or for his honeymoon? He said that he went to a beautiful place, the perfect place for honeymooners. He mentioned the Maldives. And what about Rachel? It sounds like she's more of a very active person. She likes to move around from one place to another. So she said that she would like to go on a tour, perhaps travel around Europe, a very romantic place. Okay, let's take it line by line. Here we go. Rachel begins by saying, Peter, I'm looking for ideas on where to go for my honeymoon. Now, as I mentioned, you can say, I'm wondering where to go on my honeymoon or for my honeymoon. We'll take a look at that pattern later on. So, once again, she's thinking about where she could possibly go with her future husband for their honeymoon. Okay? Now, she says, I was wondering, where did you go? And you can, of course, say, I was wondering where you went. Peter answered, he said, I've got to say that it was the perfect getaway destination. Here, let's take a look. It was the perfect getaway destination. Now, if you take a look, you can say it was the perfect getaway destination, or if you want to stress it, often you can pronounce the as the perfect getaway destination, all right? Of course, properly, you should be pronouncing it as the because the next word starts with a consonant and not a vowel. But if you want to stress it, that is, you can say it was the perfect getaway destination. Getaway is basically like a short trip, as we all know, And of course, he's talking about his honeymoon destination. He says lots of R and R. That's pronounced more like R and R, R and R. Now, R and R, they of course stand for certain words. Maybe R and R can stand for several things, but usually relaxation and recreation. So if you want to talk about a place that has lots of things to do, lots of relaxing and lots of activities, such as recreational activities, you can say it has or they have lots of R&R, R&R. Now you know what that means, right? Okay, and then Rachel says, where was it? He said, what? The Maldives. Now take a look. I think often in Korea we say 몰디브, 몰디브, without the S, right? But the proper way to say it is the Maldives. Always include the, they go together, the Maldives, with an S, okay? Not Maldive, but always the Maldives. That is because there are lots of islands in the Maldives, okay? All right. He says it's quite a typical place for many honeymooners. So today we're talking about honeymoons, right? But if you add an ER, you are talking about a newlywed. If you add an S at the end, we're talking about more than one person, so we're talking about newlyweds, people that have just gotten married. So many honeymooners go on their honeymoons, okay? So honeymooners, once again, it means newlyweds. So it's quite a typical place for many honeymooners to go, and there is literally, word for word, nothing to do but swim in the sea and eat at your resort. We'll take a look at that pattern later on as well, okay? There's nothing to do but A and B, meaning you can only do A and B there, okay? There's nothing else to do. Now he says, but it was so relaxing. You just forget about work and all your worries and just drift away into the sea. Now, often we drift. Things can drift on the water. People can drift away in the ocean as well. It means to float, okay? But if you say drift away into something, it basically kind of means to escape into something or fall into something. So he's saying you can forget about work. You can forget about all your worries and drift away into the sea, meaning just enjoy the ocean. Just let things go naturally. Follow the natural flow. All right, he says, it was a week I will never forget. So we can tell that his honeymoon lasted for 1 week, right? Okay, moving on, Rachel says, that sounds amazing. And then Peter adds, so what are you planning for yours? For yours meaning for your honeymoon, right? And she says, I like the idea of going where? Going to a tropical beach and relaxing. Now, earlier on, what did Peter say? He said there's lots of R&R in the Maldives. It is, of course, a beautiful beach resort. And he said that you can kind of drift away into the sea. Drift away, so once again, can mean to kind of follow the flow, the natural flow of something, and also lose contact with everything else. So you're seeing that really sounds relaxing, and I would love to go to a tropical beach. But see, pay attention to what else people say afterwards. But at the same time, she says, I also want to travel around Europe for our honeymoon. So once again, just to kind of clear it up for you, she likes the idea of going to a tropical beach and relaxing just as Peter did, but she likes to, or she would like to go on a trip. She would like to travel around Europe a bit more, okay? Moving on. So Peter says, both? You want to do both? And then she says, both exactly, I'm being greedy. Oftentimes when a person wants something or so much of anything, we say that he or she is greedy, right? Also, when he or she doesn't want to spend any money and wants all the money to themselves, we can call that person a greedy person. So she's saying, yeah, I want this and that. I want everything. So I guess I'm being greedy. She's just joking. But then again, she says, Paris is so romantic. And I feel like it'd, meaning it would, okay? It would be a great place. But I also like to do the touristy things. So I'm undecided. We all know what a tour is and what a tourist is, right? A tourist is a person that tours. But what is touristy? Touristy, I-S-T-Y. If you say touristy, it means kind of like a tour, okay? Similar to a tour. So she's saying, I would like to do something similar to tours. She is undecided. She is not decided on where to go for her honeymoon. Okay, that is negative, so it means that she is not decided. She has not decided on her honeymoon destination. Now, Peter says, sure, it depends on your personality. Of course, I think everything depends on your personality. When it comes to choosing something, making a choice, it all depends on the person. So you can say it depends on the person or it depends on your personality. It depends on what you like. Now, I just wanted to lie down and sunbathe and not think about anything. Okay, so he's just talking about what he had in mind for his honeymoon. That's exactly what I have in mind for my honeymoon too. I would like to just take off with my husband and just do nothing but things that we both enjoy doing, and it's relaxing and eating good food and just lying down or laying out on the beach. So he says, I just wanted to. He's talking about what he wanted in the past. I just wanted to lie down and sunbathe. Sunbathe is another word for suntan, but actually there is a difference. If you say, I want to suntan, it means that you want to lay out on the beach and get a tan. Okay, the purpose is to get a suntan, but if you say sunbathe, it can include suntanning and also playing on the beach, doing things on the beach under the sun, okay? There is a tiny difference. And yeah, that's what he wanted to do and not think about anything. I think if you can fit them both in, meaning if you can do both, right? Going to a tropical beach, relaxing, and even traveling around Europe. That's the best of both worlds. Both worlds, we're talking about the two choices. A and B, the two ideas. So that would be the best of both worlds. Means you would have everything. You can do everything you want to do. Well, Rachel says, well, where could that be? Where could that be? Where can I go to enjoy everything I want to do? And Peter says, somewhere where the beach is close. And then he gives an example. He says, well, Paris is the south coast of France, okay? Okay, so Paris, the south coast of France, has lovely beaches like Cannes and places like that. I think in Korean, or French rather, the proper pronunciation is Cannes, right? Even in Korean we say Cannes, but often Americans, or in American English, we pronounce that word as just can, as in a can of pop, right, or soda. So that's can. Once again, he's talking about Paris, how Paris is a wonderful choice. Paris, the south coast of France, has lovely beaches like Cannes and places like that. And of course, Rachel says, and the wine vineyards. That's right. If you take a look at this word, it's spelled V-I-N-E-Y-A-R-D with an S. So how would you pronounce it? A lot of people mispronounce it and they say vineyards, but the correct pronunciation is vineyards, vineyards. And wine vineyards are places where they grow grapes, for example, to make wine, of course. All right, and then Peter says, or maybe you could just do a world tour. Sounds like a great idea. Okay, let's see how they finish off the conversation. Rachel says, but that takes a lot of time. That meaning what? A world tour. Okay, going on a world tour takes a lot of time. But that takes a lot of time. And Peter says, well, take about a year or two off work and have a mega honeymoon. Let's break it up here, okay? First of all, he says, take about a year or two off or off work. It means don't work, okay? Don't work for about a year or two and have a mega honeymoon. Mega basically has many different definitions, but it can mean great, successful, extremely super, just to mean something good, or even huge and big and gigantic. So he's saying, take about a year or two off work, don't work for about a year or two, and just enjoy a super big, great, gigantic, huge honeymoon with your husband. Sounds like a good idea. That is, if you can afford to take 2 years off work. Okay, here is the actual talk conversation one more time.
Peter, I'm looking for ideas on where to go for my honeymoon.
Oh.
Yeah, I was wondering, where did you go?
I've got to say, I think, and I may be being biased, that it was the perfect getaway destination.
Where was
Lots
it?
of R&R, the Maldives.
Ah.
Like, it's quite a typical place for many honeymooners to go.
Yeah.
And there is literally nothing to do but swim in the sea and eat at your resort and that kind of thing, because the islands are very small. There's thousands of them. But it was so relaxing, you know, you just forget about work and all your worries just drift away into the sea.
Right.
And yeah, it was a week that I'll never forget.
Oh, it sounds amazing.
So what are you planning for yours? Something like that, or maybe a city tour or something?
Yeah, you know, I like the idea of going to a tropical beach and relaxing and kind of just spending time with my future husband.
Exactly.
Yeah, but at the same time, I also want to travel around Europe for a honeymoon too. Like Paris is both, exactly. I'm being greedy. Like Paris is so romantic. I feel like it'd be a great place, although it may be overdone as a destination for a honeymoon. But I also like to do the touristy things too, so I'm undecided.
Sure, it really depends on your personality. Like, I just wanted to lay down and sunbathe, like, and not think about anything. But other people, they want to make the most of that time that you have off, you know.
Right.
I think you're right. A compromise of the both. If you can fit them both in, that's the best of both worlds.
Well, where could that be then, where I could
Somewhere where the beach is close. Well, Paris, the south coast of France, has lovely beaches.
Oh, that's true.
Like Cannes and places like that.
And
so
the
you could
wine
maybe
vineyards.
fit that in. Or maybe you could just do a world tour.
But that takes a lot of time.
Take about a year or two off work, and then have a mega honeymoon.
I think that's a great idea. And to be honest, my fiance and I have seriously considered that too.
Like a backpacking trip or something like that.
Right after we leave Korea, because we're both expats.
Uh-huh.
So I'll maybe even think about that. Just postpone the immediate honeymoon and just wait until we're done with Korea and go on this world tour.
Yes, like a rock star.
Like a rock star.
Okay, now are you ready for some idiomatic expressions, phrases, and vocab, as well as some wonderful patterns that we found in today's actual talk? Okay, let's take a look at a few of them first. Remember, R&R, that's what Peter said, lots of R&R. I did mention too, R&R is rather pronounced R&R, R&R. R&R. It stands for relaxation and recreation, even recuperation. So there's a lot of things R&R can actually mean, but it means relaxation and something really fun. R&R, R&R. And honeymooner, just in case you've forgotten, a honeymoon is what we're talking about today, 신혼 여행. But if you add an ER, it becomes a person or people if you add an S. So honeymooner. And another word for honeymoon is newlywed or newlyweds, okay? And mega once again. Towards the very end of today's actual talk conversation, Peter did mention, hey, why not go on a mega honeymoon, right? So mega can actually mean, it's slang of course, extremely good, great, successful, and even huge, big in some cases. Let's move on to some actual patterns, everyone. Now, this is what Rachel said, that she was looking for ideas on where to go for her honeymoon, right? So let's practice using this pattern. Look for ideas on where to go for something. For example, you can say, I'm looking for ideas on where to go for my next vacation. Okay, so if you're thinking about where you could go on your next vacation, you could say, I'm looking for ideas on where to go for my next vacation. What about this one? I looked for ideas. Let's take you into the past. I looked for ideas on where to go for my 10th wedding anniversary. Now, I included this wedding anniversary because it's often a very special occasion, and a 10th anniversary is definitely something to celebrate. So, a lot of people really think a lot about where to go or what to do for their 10th anniversary. So, in that case, you can say, yeah, I thought a lot about where to go. I looked for ideas on where to go for my 10th wedding anniversary. Good job. Here we go with another pattern. Nothing to do but A and B. So let's talk about some actions, some activities, some verbs you can fit in there. There was nothing to do but eat and sleep. Okay, now we're talking about perhaps a past situation. You can say, the vacation was great, but there was nothing to do but eat and sleep. Once again, it means what? There was nothing else to do but sleep and eat, okay? Here is another sample sentence. There was nothing to do but shop and shop. Now, that is not a mistake. I meant to repeat the word shop twice because this is a great way to stress the fact that shopping was the only thing, okay, that you were able to do there. So, if you want to stress it, use the verb or the word more than once. There was nothing to do but shop and shop. There was only shopping to do when you went there. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at one more. Like the idea of verb and then adding the ing. Let's take a look at a sample sentence. I like the idea of sleeping on the beach. This is if you are a beach person, if you like to go to the ocean, the beach, and just lay out in the sun and just do nothing but sunbathe or suntan, you can say, I like the idea of sleeping on the beach. Perhaps you can even go camping to the beach, right? Set up a tent and sleep on the beach, okay? And let's check out one more sentence. She liked the idea of going to the Seychelles Islands. This is something you can either add or omit, okay? She liked the idea of going to the Seychelles Islands for her honeymoon. Seychelles Islands, I've checked it out myself. It's a beautiful place. You might as well check it out in the future. Okay, those were the phrases, vocab, and patterns for today, everyone. Practice them more on your own.
So honeymoons. I actually haven't thought about this that much either. But you know, most people, I think most of my girlfriends, when they talk about honeymoon, and when you think about honeymoon, you think of those, you know, honeymoon destinations. So like Bali or Bora Bora, those beach type places. I'm actually a little weird, and I don't like beaches that much. I'm not really a sand person. I don't really like swimming that much, or I don't enjoy water that much, which is weird. So I actually would like to go sightseeing a little bit more. I also got this idea from my brother's wife, which, yeah, I get a lot of ideas from her, but she doesn't like the beach either, and we talked about it. I think a place that I would actually be interested in going to is New Zealand. And I know that's really random, but I've heard that they have really great landscapes and things to look at, like nature, trees, also because Lord of the Rings was taken there. And so, yeah, I think that's where I would want to go, some place like that.
Thank you, Sarah, for sharing your story with us. That was today's actual story. Now, we asked Sarah about where she would like to go on her honeymoon, and what did she say? She began by saying that she's still quite young, so she hasn't really given it much thought. But whenever she talks with her friends about honeymoons, a lot of them say, I would like to go to a tropical island like Bali or Bora Bora. But her brother just recently got married, and I guess she had a chance to talk with her sister-in-law about honeymoon destinations. Let's check out what she said in today's actual story. She said, when you think about honeymoons, you think of those honeymoon destinations like Bali or Bora Bora. So when you think about something, you think about honeymoon destinations. Honeymoon locations, all right? Destination is a place or a location you plan to arrive at. So here we go with the next one. And then she says, a place I would be interested in going to is New Zealand. Okay, a place I would be interested in going to is so-and-so. If it's more than one place, you can say, places I would be interested in going to are A and B and C and D, okay? Just keep that in mind. So she says definitely New Zealand is a place that she would like to go to on perhaps her honeymoon. Well, sounds like a very unique honeymoon, Sarah. Hope you do end up going to New Zealand for yours. All right, everyone, that is a wrap for today's actual story.
So honeymoons. I actually haven't thought about this that much either, but most people, I think most of my girlfriends, when they talk about honeymoon, and when you think about honeymoon, you think of those, honeymoon destinations, so like Bali or Bora Bora, those beach type places. I'm actually a little weird, and I don't like beaches that much. I'm not really a sand person. I don't really like swimming that much, or I don't enjoy water that much, which is weird. So I actually would like to go sightseeing a little bit more. I also got this idea from my brother's wife, which, yeah, I get a lot of ideas from her, but she doesn't like the beach either, and we talked about it. I think a place that I would actually be interested in going to is New Zealand. And I know that's really random, but I've heard that they have really great landscapes and things to look at, like nature, trees, also because Lord of the Rings was taken there. And so, yeah, I think that's where I would want to go, some place like that.
Now, so far we've talked about topics such as getting married, we even talked about honeymoons. What's coming up next? Well, I'll leave that up to you or up to your imagination. But first of all, I'm wondering if you enjoyed today's lesson. There are tons and tons of things you can talk about when it comes to any kind of topic, especially even honeymoons. Talk about your experience the next time you have a conversation with a friend or a group of people, or if by chance you have to do an interview in English. Don't just talk about where you would like to go or where you went on your honeymoon. Talk about the places you have in mind. If you're struggling, if you're still thinking about where to go, if you are looking for ideas on where to go for your honeymoon, talk about that. And if you have any regrets about the things you did on your honeymoon, you could even talk about that. The whole point is to make your talk or your answer or even your interview answer a bit more interesting. Make it personal, everyone, okay? Okay, that is a wrap for today's topic. Next time, I'll join you back with this one. Let's talk about wedding anniversaries since we're married and we're back from our honeymoon, okay? In the meantime, come to our homepage at www.ebse.co.kr. Look for Actual English, and that's about it. I'll have to catch you again next time. Bye for now.